What classifies as like a pornography addiction is something like 11 hours of pornography viewing per week. And none of the people in your study even were at that 50% mark. But even the people who are just watching it occasionally found it so problematic because of the shame. And I'm wondering, with you have a PhD in psychology, you're doing compassionate inquiry, you're a somatic therapist, so you must talk with people about a lot of other things other than pornography. But how often is shame a common thread in just whatever kind of crap people are dealing with?
It's probably the universal common denominator that keeps the behaviors that we're trying to move away from. It's what keeps them going. It's that in the cycle of change, it's the experience of the shame and the guilt that catalyzes and allows the next cycle to continue. And again, your shirt is the perfect antidote to this shame, is the radical acceptance that when we're able to, and this is again, this is a beautiful example of what CI has really allowed to come to perfect picture, perfect clarity, is that when we can appreciate that whatever behavior that we're judging ourselves for, whatever behavior we're moving away from or shaming ourselves about, that behavior has been and originated and continues to be a protector, an adaptation to some other pain that we never learned how to face, process, or integrate. So it wasn't always problematic. At some point, it was only a stress reducer, a pain avoider, or some self-soother. It was only over time that we realized that, hey, this automatic behavior, this automatic coping strategy that I've now conditioned into my nervous system, it isn't always helpful anymore. In fact, it's starting to be destructive in the sense of porn is one of the quickest ways to erode a relationship, especially if it's done in secrecy, if it's done in privacy, if it's done and it's hidden from the other partner. So again, what was meant and intended to be a protector is now starting to um, influence our life contextually in ways that we don't want. So that's the transition where all of a sudden, and then that it's natural to say, well, there must be something wrong with this behavior. I need to move away from the behavior. And that's the wrong way to go about it, because then we're going to be shaming and guilting ourselves rather than saying, I wonder what this was once a solution for, and getting curious about that. Because when we discover and go to the experiences and the emotions that we were avoiding, that this behavior, whether it be porn, alcohol, gambling, whatever it may be, that this was once a solution for, the need for that behavior drops altogether. So in my 20s, as an example, in my 20s, I used willpower, quote unquote willpower, to move away from porn, several times, right? So I would last 3, 6, 9 months, but every time there was a point where the stress levels capsized, and then I reached for my self-soother, the trusty self-soother that had always worked. It wasn't until I got really curious about why am I seeking porn in this moment? When I got curious about those contexts, I didn't have to quit porn. It disappeared. It was the easiest thing. There was no effort, because every time I felt an impulse or craving, a temptation to view porn, I would pause and connect to my body. And there was always something there. There was always some tension or spasm or discomfort or something that I could track with my attention and stay with it. And I would ask myself, what am I sad about? What am I angry about? What am I not facing? What am I avoiding? When I asked myself these questions, there was always an answer. And when I stayed with the experience, there was a release, there was a shiver, there were tears, there was a spasm, there was a contortion, there was a pain. And every time when the experience passed, it's as if the craving for porn didn't exist. It just vanished. And so it was the intense curiosity on the precursor to viewing porn, which meant I never had to quit porn. It just, like I said, it just stopped. To me, the intention of the practice is more important than the practice itself. So whatever practice really allows us to feel, then that's the one we go with. If it's journaling, if it's meditation, if it's sauna, if it's yoga, if it's going for a walk, if it's walking into a forest and spending time in nature, whatever allows us to disconnect from the world, the imaginary world of our thoughts, and reconnect with our somatic sense of self, then that's what we go with. In terms of the words, I can offer one because rather than condemning, shaming, and guilting, gratitude and thankfulness is always the starting point. To notice, again, this is an experiment that the listeners and the viewers can do. The next time we feel some kind of impulse or urge or even potential guilt arising because we're going to shame or guilt or judge ourselves for something, try pausing and saying thank you. And the way Gabor says it, thank you, but I don't need you anymore, right? So that if we can acknowledge, and again, this may not be readily available because sometimes it does require an inquiry process. So it's easy for you and I to have this discussion. You're familiar with CI. So when we say we can be thankful for a behavior, we get that because we've had that experience. Some people may not. So it does sometimes require um, careful, delicate inquiry to reveal that this part of ourselves that we're shaming and guilting is actually just protecting us. And when we do say thank you, and as Gabor would add, but I don't need you anymore, it's the starting point for the intention is the same. The intention of wanting to move away from this is completely consistent, whether we judge and condemn it and shame it, or whether we say thank you, but I don't need you anymore. However, how our body responds to those words is going to be vastly different. When we condemn, judge, and shame ourselves, we're going to create tension and constriction and further stress, which is going to make us want to reach for that behavior even more. However, if we say thank you, automatically open and soften. The body will soften when we thank ourselves. And when we say, I don't need you anymore, it's this place of empathy, understanding, and awareness. It embraces that part of us that we're avoiding rather than pushing it away and telling it that it doesn't belong.
Sending you lots of love. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check out one of these lovely videos. Thanks for being part of this community, and we'll see you next time.